The Miami Heat season has been an utter disappointment. Now, I will come out and say this. I am recording this before Friday's game, so maybe they make the 8 seed, maybe they lose. Either way, I don't think they're going to beat the Milwaukee Bucks. Whatever happens in the game on Friday is really irrelevant for me to judge the Heat's season. I am convinced they're going to lose, probably a sweep. Maybe they win a game. It'll be absolutely miracle if they lose, or sorry, if they win 2 games. But the Miami Heat, the season coming off of a near finals appearance, game 7, Jimmy Butler with the last shot for the Heat, practically missing that 3-pointer. I went out of last season saying, if you tell me before the season started that the Miami Heat are going to end their season off game 7 Eastern Conference Finals with our best player shooting a 3 that could potentially send us to the NBA Finals, if you don't tell me what the result of that shot is, you just tell me that information, I would tell you I'm okay with that. I'm okay with as a season progressing that far. Game 7, Eastern Conference Finals with the chance to go to the finals if your best player hits a 3. That's where the Heat were coming into the season on. They're coming off of a season where they saw that, and that was even somewhat of a surprise, even though they were the top seed in the Eastern Conference. Still, when they got to the playoffs, they were not respected. A lot of analysts expected them to lose to the 76ers, expected them to lose to the Celtics, which of course they did eventually lose. And they did not necessarily impress, even though getting to that point, there was not a lot of excellent performances amongst throughout the team. But now, coming into this season, I expected the Heat to make a serious running for one of the multiple superstars that were on the market. I'm talking Kevin Durant, who now finds himself in Phoenix, at the time ended up staying. I'm talking about Kyrie Irving. I'm talking about Donovan Mitchell. All players, actually except for Kyrie Irving, that are in the playoffs and have legitimate conversations to make that they could represent their conference. Donovan Mitchell, what he's done with the Cavs, especially over the last week and a half of the season, where he went on a stretch averaging 40 points per game. Kevin Durant and the Suns are my pick to make the NBA Finals. These were guys that were available, and the Miami Heat elected to not spend. They elected to stick with what they had, and that is clearly just not enough. I have an issue with Pat Riley. I have an issue with how lackluster he's been in terms of his lack of aggression of improving the team and simply being okay with what the team looked like from the previous season. Tyler Hero, we've seen some progression. Tyler Hero going from 6th man of the year to now in the starting rotation. And you know what? He is taking the right steps. Is he going to be a top 5 shooting guard in the NBA at any point? I'd say probably not. However, there is that possibility. He could continue to develop. He's still in his middle 20s. We see a lot of players really start to blossom in that true prime, which is between 28 to 32. That's when Steph made his first finals. That's when Michael Jordan made his first finals. I'm not comparing him really to either of the two of them, but he still has time to grow into a potentially top 5 shooting guard. But we need more scoring from the guards, and that was something we could have addressed. Kyrie Irving, Donovan Mitchell. The Heat have shown that they're not willing to give up on assets, not willing to give up something for in the future to go out and win, go all in now, which, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that what Pat Riley has preached? Isn't that what Pat Riley has stood by? That he is all in every single season. He is not looking for the future. We never embraced a tank job. We were expected to end up a few years ago in the race for Lonzo Ball, for Markelle Fultz, for Jason Tatum at the time, and started off the season 2nd or 3rd bottom in the East, and we were looking like we were trending in that direction. Then they pick things up, and next thing you know, they're in a playoff race. They fall out, if I'm not mistaken, just missed out in the playoffs. If things had been a little bit differently, if the play-in tournament had been instituted then, maybe the Heat actually do make the playoffs. But Pat Riley has swore by this all in every season, and then has not done the steps to go all in every season. I love Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler, I think, is a perfect player for the Miami Heat. I have 0 issues with Jimmy Butler, but there are some truths about Jimmy Butler. He is not a true dynamic scorer. He can make just about any bucket. But when you think top scorers in the NBA, when you think top 20 scorers in the NBA, if you give somebody the ball and you tell them, get me 35 points, how many guys are you naming before you're naming Jimmy Butler? I love Jimmy Butler. I think Jimmy Butler is perfect for the Miami Heat. This is by no means in an indoctrination against Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler needs help. Jimmy Butler needs help other than a 6'9" center who has shown when the playoffs come around, his game is a little bit less relevant. We saw that in his struggles against the Hawks, went scoreless for the entire first quarter and then bled into the second quarter without even attempting a shot. He's getting out-rebounded and not bodied, but maneuvered by Clint Capella, had the size advantage over him and didn't really know what to do with it. You then move to Kyle Lowry, who was brought in as some veteran presence, as some guard play, was supposed to be an improvement on Goran Dragic. And in the game against Atlanta, he finally was, but there is no consistency with Kyle Lowry. You got 33 points. Awesome. Please do it more often. I know at this point in his career, his play style, how undersized he is, that is not a realistic possibility with Kyle Lowry to expect that sort of production every single game. Then why are you a starting point guard for the Miami Heat, a team that was the #1 seed last year with championship aspirations? If you are on the back nine of your career, if you're an undersized guard who doesn't have necessarily the quickest first step, that is unreliable physically, why are you the starting point guard for the Miami Heat? At this point in your career, that is just simply something that you cannot achieve. Duncan Robinson, oh my gosh, a $95 million napkin, doesn't play, just sitting there on the bench. Now, I understand with him, he's still on the team just because we cannot get rid of him. We're paying Max Strus pennies compared to what Duncan's playing. Max Strus is actually playing. So just to put that in context, they are very similar players. Max Strus is earning virtually nothing. Duncan Robinson is earning a lot of money. And just how business works, how politics works, if you're getting paid a lot of money and there's somebody in a position that's really close to you, typically that person plays. Duncan Robinson does not play. So you have Kyle Lowry, undersized, older, guard, inconsistent physically. Jimmy Butler, great player, top 15 player in the NBA, is not a dynamic scorer. Bam Adebayo is unreliable in the playoffs. Tyler Hero is getting there, and we're just hoping that we're patient enough with him and that he eventually comes through and he can be like a top 7 or top 8 shooting guard in the league, have a consistent jump shot, hit free throws like he does very well. But we need more. And more was there. More was on the table. Donovan Mitchell was there. Kevin Durant was there. Kyrie Irving was there. And the Heat stood by and did nothing, like they have time and time again. The Miami Heat got very lucky that LeBron James fell into their lap. If LeBron James doesn't fall into the Heat's lap, what is the thought process around the Miami Heat? Miami Heat have this persona. They are known for their workmanlike approach. They're known for how serious they take it. They're known for when they went into the bubble and made the finals, how they looked at it like they were there on a business trip rather than a vacation. If LeBron doesn't win those 2 rings for the Heat, you have one championship in franchise history all the way back in 2006. What does that workmanlike approach mean to a team that has only 1 NBA Finals? Now you add 3, and you start to take it seriously. That's honestly part of what brought LeBron James to Miami, was how serious they take things, as well as got lucky that the salary cap played out, that you could keep Dwayne Wade, bring in Chris Bosh, and LeBron James. Just fortunate that everything rounded out perfectly, that LeBron walked in, failed the first try, 2 rings in a row, lost, and then left. If LeBron isn't there, the Heat aren't winning those championships. Also probably would have meant Dwayne Wade left. So no Dwayne Wade, no Chris Bosh, no LeBron James. They all go to another team, call it the Bulls. And what is the Miami Heat? What is their culture? What are they known for? What is their history? 1 championship with Dwayne Wade, who is, no issues with Dwayne Wade, with an aging Shaq who was traded away from the Lakers. Nobody would ever call that team a top 10 team of all time. And just with 1 player, yes, in my opinion, the greatest basketball player of all time. If that 1 player doesn't come to the Heat by choice, what is the Miami Heat? Who cares about the Heat's legacy? Who cares about their businessman-like approach? And now we find ourselves in 2023. The Miami Heat, at the time of recording, have to play a play-in game. Already lost 1 play-in game. Have to play another play-in game to try to get just into the playoffs, just to get smacked around most likely by the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't understand where this team is going to go. I don't understand when they're going to wake up. Udonis is leaving. I believe it's also time for Pat Riley to leave. There needs to be some fresh energy, some creative ideas, some go-getters. Because this business like approach, this win every season approach, has been more often than not a facade recently, and it's disappointing. The NBA, when you talk about the Miami Heat, that means something. When people compare teams to the Miami Heat, that means something. The Miami Heat are a team of some sort of respect. They don't have quite the legacy of the Lakers, the Celtics, all these great teams that have had so many great players throughout NBA history. They're one of the youngest teams in the NBA. They're known for their business like approach, all these great things. But when you actually go out on the court, there hasn't been anything to strike any sort of hope in me this season at all.